Hello everyone, it's Diamond here. For today's video, I decided to make a guide on Animal Crossing New Horizons. Even though I'm still a growing channel, I hope this video can help if you're new to the game or if you just need a reminder of how the game works. In this video, I'll try to go through the basics where I'll be covering things like a short introduction to the game, the different functions of the NookPhone, paying off loans and how to get bells, and some other things. At the end, I'll also give some tips and tricks. What I won't get into is the turnips and the turnip price system because honestly, I myself haven't even touched that part of the game, so I don't know how exactly that works. There will be timestamps in the video so you can skip through to the part you want. So with that being said, let's start with the basics. When you first start up the game, you get greeted by Timmy and Tommy, who are twin tanukis. A tanuki, according to Wikipedia, is a Japanese raccoon dog. They'll ask you for your name and your birthday, after which you will be able to make your character however you like, but with the limitation of dyed hair, because that's something you can unlock later in the game. You then get asked if you live on the northern or southern hemisphere, which just means that your game matches the real world season, which would be summer in June and winter in December for the northern hemisphere, and basically the opposite for the southern hemisphere. This also impacts what bugs and fish appear on your island and when. You then get to pick one of 4 islands and name it to your liking. Side note, a lot of people in the community tend to pick their islands based on the native fruit of that island, but that's totally up to you. After that's all done, they'll ask you one last question, which is... So yeah, that's a very theoretical question, but don't worry because it doesn't have an impact on your game. After you pick your island and that's all done, you get a trailer of the game so you can have an overview of how it all looks like, which I won't show the entirety of so that Nintendo doesn't copyright my ads. After that, you get an overview of how the island currently looks. No buildings, no decorations, just the basic island itself. Skipping forward a bit, you get instructed on the controls a bit by Timmy. You'll then be introduced to your 2 starter villagers, and when you're done talking to them, you can go to the plaza. That's where Tom Nook will hold a short speech about the whole thing, and you'll get to build your tent along with the other villagers' tents. When you're done with the tents, Tom Nook holds another speech and gives you some tasks to get used to the game. First he says that a campfire will be held to celebrate and you'll be asked to get 10 branches for it. Then he'll ask you to get him 6 pieces of the island's native fruit. After all of that, you get to name your island, but also take account that the name of your island can't be longer than 10 letters or characters. The villagers will then vote for a name, of course the one you picked wins, and they then cheer for that name. Afterwards, when you talk to Tom Nook, he'll give you a camping cot to put in your tent along with explaining some of the game controls. After a long, hard day of work, you'll finally get some sleep. You dream about the fan favorite Animal Crossing singer KK Slider and progress into the next day. On the second day, Tom Nook gives you something called a NookPhone that you'll be using a lot during the game. Trust me, a lot. When you first get your NookPhone from Tom Nook, your screen will look like this. But as you progress through the game, you'll unlock icons like these. So now that I explained what happens in the beginning of the game, let's go over the functions of your NookPhone. The first app on your NookPhone is the camera. The controls for it are on the screen in case you ever forget one or the other feature it has. With this you can take aesthetic pictures of you and your villagers or just take a random picture. You can also rotate the camera in 6 different views. When you click the minus button, you go into handheld mode, which gives you this first person view. When you press it again, you can set it up like a tripod so that you're in the view. While you're in handheld mode, you can also rotate the camera. There are also different filters and frames. The next app is the Nook Miles app. Throughout the game, you complete certain achievements and get things called Nook Miles. They can either be gained by progressing through the game, completing daily tasks, or accessing the Nook Stop daily, which can get you 50 bonus Nook Miles on the first day and up to 300 Nook Miles on the 7th day and forward. These Nook Miles can be used to travel with Cap'n or at the Nook Stop in the Resident Services building to obtain things like Nook Mile tickets, to use to travel with Dodo Airlines, a phone case kit, DIY recipes, items, and some Nook merch. I'll talk a bit more about the Nook Stop and the resident services after the NookPhone segment, but now I'll move on to the next app, which is the Critterpedia. In the Critterpedia app, you can keep track of every bug, fish, and sea creature you've caught. If they've got this icon next to their name, that means you've already donated it to the museum. For everything you've caught, the Critterpedia shows the seasonality or what months it's available in and the active hours for it. For the fish, it even says the location it can be caught in. To catch bugs, you need a net, to catch fish, you need a fishing rod, and to catch sea creatures, you need a wetsuit. Overall, the app is pretty helpful, just like this next app, which is the DIY Recipes app. This app features all the DIY recipes you've collected throughout playing the game. Here you have an overview of recipes ranging from tools and houseware all the way to the things you can cook and bake. The app also shows you what items you can craft with the items currently in your inventory. You can get DIY recipes from villagers, message bottles, popping balloons, Celeste if they're star or space themed items, and winter items from the snowman you make. To craft something, you go up to a workbench and press A. To cook or bake something, you go up to a stove or an oven and also press A. Next we have the Nook Shopping app. Here you can buy things from different catalogs, which are special goods, furniture, clothing, and other items, and you can also use a keyword to search for a specific item. In the special goods, which include daily items, villager posters, which I'll show you how to get in this segment, promo items, and seasonal items. In the furniture catalog, you can buy all types of items you've collected, ranging from housewares to ceiling decor. Note that in the furniture, clothing, and other catalogs, some items are not for sale either because they're seasonal items, things you can get from the Nook Stop, or things you can get from other characters, for example art from Red. In the clothing catalog, you can buy things ranging from tops you've obtained all the way to bags, umbrellas, and wetsuits. And in the other catalog and in the other catalog, you not only get to buy flooring and wallpaper that you've obtained, but you can also buy tools or goods, fencing, rugs, not fossils and gyroids because they're items limited to the museum or things you can find in the ground, which I don't know why they would add those to the shop if you can't buy them, but anyways. You can also buy some KK songs. As I mentioned, you can also search for a specific item by using a keyword. Some examples are on the screen. Then we have the Island Designer app. This app allows you to transform your island and actually has a built-in manual with everything you need to know, so I won't get into too much detail for this app, but to put it simply, this app allows you to put down paths, bodies of water, and also cliffs which you can use for decorating your island. After that, we have the custom designs. Here you can create custom designs which can be used as wallpaper or flooring, worn, displayed as a mannequin or painting, or displayed on the ground. With the Pro design, you can also create custom clothing, hats, and accessories. If you've talked to Sable enough times, you get more pattern options by clicking the plus button, but more on that later. You can also get custom designs from other people by clicking the X button and accessing the custom designs portal, but that and some other features in the game unfortunately require a Nintendo Online membership, which admittedly sucks. Something that's completely free though is the map. With the map you can access where you place the different villagers' houses and buildings. With the X button you can either have the minimap that shows on the bottom right corner of the screen always on, have it off while moving, or have it always off. It's a simple feature just like this next app, which is the passport. Here it says some basic information about you and your island, like your photo, your name, birthday, island name and its native fruit, your title, and you can also add a comment. Ignore mine, yes I'm oblique, okay? You can change your passport photo, comment, and title by clicking the A button. You can unlock different title options by unlocking different Nook Mile achievements. Moving on to the next app, the Call Resident app is unlocked after another player moves onto your island. This app allows players to play local multiplayer. The Rescue Service app is what helps you get unstuck in an area of the game in case you ever get stuck in a stupid spot. When you open it, a tune will play, a very specific tune. Well, if you've played any of the older Animal Crossing games, then... That's right, Rossetti is managing the rescue service. This is kind of confirmed by the fact that the first time you use the service when you don't have Nook Miles, and we'll get to that, the operator refers to himself as Rossetti, and not only that, but also judging by the tune and the fact that sometimes Don picks up and says he's managing for his brother, it's safe to assume that he is. But anyways, back to the app itself, getting the rescue service to rescue you will cost 100 Nook Miles. But don't worry, because if you don't have Nook Miles left, they'll drop you off at a random part of your island for free. But if you do have the 100 Nook Miles, they can drop you off at your home, the plaza, Nook's Cranny, or at the airport. Note that this app doesn't work inside buildings. The next app is Island Life 101. This app compiles all the advice that Tom Nook and Isabelle give you during the black loading screens, and while it's useful, there's a lot. This was technically the last app, and the reason I say technically is because there are additionally 4 different apps, which are the Happy Home Network, Room Sketch, Chatlog, and Best Friends List apps. 2 of these apps are exclusive to the Happy Home Paradise DLC, and the other 2 are also only available when you have the membership, because with that you can visit other players and they can visit you, which also applies to Dream addresses. So I can't get into those apps since I myself don't have them, but something that every player has on their island is the Resident Services building, which I'll be talking about next. In the beginning, the Resident Services won't be a building but a green tent instead. You can upgrade it by paying off the 5k Nook Miles debt to Tom Nook and paying 98k bells to upgrade to an actual house. And also by building the museum in Nook's Cranny and placing down more villager plots. When all of that is done, the Resident Services will upgrade to a building. In the Resident Services building, you can access the recycle box in the Nook Stop and talk to Tom Nook and Isabelle about your island. This part of the video will be split into 4 parts. Starting with the recycle box, in there you can find flooring, wallpaper, clothing, trash, flowers, and rusted parts. Those rusted parts can be used to fix Gulliver's broken phone. You can only take items out, but can't put items from your inventory in there. That's it for the recycling box, now onto the Nook Stop. There are a few things you can access on the Nook Stop, including redeeming Nook Miles, Nook Shopping, accessing your ABD, and inviting a villager with their amiibo. Starting with redeeming the Nook Miles, here you can buy things like a Bell voucher which you can use in shops to get a discount, a Nook Miles ticket in order to travel with Dodo Airlines, a customizable phone case, DIY recipes, a lot of different items that you can decorate your island with, and also what can be described as Nook merch. Something else you can get here are more hairstyles and upgrades to your inventory and apps like the custom design app. You can also go Nook shopping on the Nook Stop, but I already mentioned that in this timestamp, so I won't repeat all that again. The next thing is the ABD. Here you can basically access all your bells and also pay off your loans to Tom Nook. To make it more accessible, you can just buy an ABD from the Nook Miles shop and place it on your island. The last thing you can do on the Nook Stop is to invite a villager. You can do this with their amiibo card by placing it on the NFC touchpoint on the right side of the console. This then makes them appear on the Editing Dia here. I have absolutely no idea why Apollo is wearing what he's wearing right now, but we're just gonna let it be, okay? I don't know. Screen. If you don't already have that villager, they'll come to your campsite, but if you do, like in my case, they'll say this. You can also use the amiibo feature in the Roost to invite them to hang out, and you can make them appear on Harv's island to take pictures. But more on Harv's island later. That was all for the Nook Stop, now on to talking with Tom Nook. His counter is considered the construction consultation counter, and with him you can ask him what you should do, talk about your home, and talk about the infrastructure. When you ask him what you should do, he gives you advice that can be used to improve your island so that KK can come to your island. The next thing you can talk about with him is your home. If you select this option, you have 3 things to choose from: expanding your storage, customizing, and relocating. On the topic of expanding your storage, I found this very helpful overview from IGN.com that shows all the different storage payments. You can pause to look for yourself, but as you can see, all of this together costs a whopping nearly 9 million bells. Oh my god. It costs a ton to pay it all off, but in this next segment, I'll show you how to gain bells. But for now, on to the next thing you can talk about with Tom Nook, which is the customization. Initially, this can be done for 5k bells, but after you pay off your final loan, you can do it for free. You can change things like the house shape, the roof color and type, different types of siding, different types of doors, and also different types of mailboxes. You can also see how the house looks like with open or closed curtains with the Y button, and how it looks at day or night with the X button. You can also ask him to relocate, which would cost you 8,000 bells. The last thing you can talk about with Tom Nook is the infrastructure. Here you can request a bridge or incline to be built, or just layout changes. When you click on the first option, you can also demolish a bridge or incline. Here are the different bridges you can choose from. And here are the different inclines. Choosing the layout changes option gives you the choice to move different buildings like an island home, the shop, museum, tailors, or campsite. Now that we saw what we can discuss with Tom Nook, let's see what we can talk about with Isabelle. With Isabelle, you can talk about island evals, review island features, and discuss a resident. When you click on the first option, she will tell you the star rating of the island and what the villagers think of your island. You can get your star rating up by decorating your island more, and if you get your rating to 3 stars, you can get KK to visit your island every Saturday. The next thing you can do is to review the island features. When you choose this, you can change the island tune or flag and discuss ordinances. When you change your island tune, you'll be brought to this screen where you can move the up and down arrows or the left joystick up and down to change the tune. Mine currently sounds like this. Does that sound familiar? Comment down below. Choosing the option to change your island flag will pull up your custom designs to pick a new flag design from there. Then you can discuss ordinances, which are kind of like the island rules. To change an ordinance, it costs 20,000 bells, and you can choose from 4 different ones. The Beautiful Island Ordinance, which makes your island cleaner, villagers water flowers more often and help with the weeds, and also removes cockroaches from your house. The Early Bird Ordinance, which opens shops an hour earlier and makes villagers get up earlier as well. The Night Owl Ordinance, which is the one I have, which makes shops close an hour later and villagers stay up a bit longer. And lastly, the Bell Bloom Ordinance, which increases the price of most items you buy and sell with 20%. The last thing you can talk to Isabelle about is your villagers, aka complain about them. Once you pick the discuss a resident option, you get to choose which resident to talk about, and then Isabelle asks what upsets you about them, which gets you the option to tell her about the way the villager talks or the way they dress. In both cases, she'll ask you if you'd like her to talk to the resident before continuing. The option of reporting the way they talk resets their catchphrase to their original one, and the option of reporting the way they dress resets their clothing to their original as well. Now that I showed you everything you can do in the Resident Services building, I'll talk about how to make bells. In Animal Crossing New Horizons, there are a lot of ways to make bells, which most of the time involves the Nook's Cranny shop. The easiest way of gaining bells is to catch bugs, fish, and creatures, and to sell them. Editing Dia here, another easy way is to just do nothing, because later on in the game, when you check your mailbox, you'll often see letters from the Bank of Nook thanking you for maintaining your account by adding bells to it. If you're new to the game, I really advise you to keep whatever it is that you catch the first time so you can donate it to the museum when Blathers later comes to your island, or else you'll have to keep trying to catch the same bug or fish like me to complete the museum. Speaking of the museum, something that you can get a lot of bells from are the fossils, but only after they have been assessed by Blathers. Fossils can be found in the ground, but you can also find gyroids and sometimes even mushrooms. Those things can also be sold. The gyroids can be found as broken gyroids as well, which can be buried in the ground and then watered to make them grow so you can get one the next day. Also, about selling bugs and fish, you can sell them for more when Flick and CJ are on your island. You can also sell your weeds for more to Leaf when he's there, or you can visit him once you've unlocked Harv's island. Selling fruit also gets you bells, especially when the fruit isn't native to your island. You can get other fruits from mystery islands, but more about them in a later segment. Another way you can get bells is by shaking trees. According to the Animal Crossing wiki, every day on an island, 15 trees will drop 100 bells, 5 trees will drop a wasp nest, and 2 trees will drop furniture. Speaking of trees, another way of making bells is to plant money trees. Yes, those exist in this game. When you see a glowing spot in the ground and dig it up, you'll get bells. If you bury bells into the glowing spot, you'll get a little sprout which will grow into a bell tree in 3 days. Also, the amount of bells you put in affects the amount you gain from the tree. The tree gives you back 3 times more than what you've planted, but the recommended amount to bury is 10k bells. I'll put this here for you to read if you're interested. You could also sell art, but you can't sell fake art that Red gives you because of Timmy and Tommy's policies. Popping balloons also gives you bells, along with furniture, clothes, recipes, and materials. I talked about getting bells, but how do you get villagers? That's what I'll talk about next. There are a few ways to get villagers in Animal Crossing New Horizons. One of the easier ways is through the campsite. Another way that involves the campsite is by inviting them to your island using their amiibo if you have it. When you go to the Nook Stop at the Resident Services building and scan their amiibo, they'll appear in your campsite. For them to move in, they'll ask you to build something for them. The slightly more difficult option is to go on a villager hunt, and the reason it's slightly more difficult is because not only do you get a random villager on the mystery islands, but also most of the time you need a lot of Nook Miles tickets to get the villager you want. Trust me, to get Dobie, I myself nearly used up 100 tickets. One more way to get a villager, and this one is if you have the Nintendo Online membership because it involves visiting another player, is if the villager you want is in boxes or moving out of your friend's island. You can visit them and talk to them to convince them to move to your island. Now that I talked about how to get villagers, before talking about how to make them leave, I would like to tell you kind of the benefits of having villagers. The main benefit is that they give you things. They can give you crafting or cooking recipes, sell you things, and give you things like furniture and clothing. They can also gift you a photo of them if your friendship is high enough. You can get the friendship up higher by talking to them often and gifting them things. Just don't give them trash like tires, cans, or old boots because that upsets them. Something else they can do is teach you a reaction. About the reactions, the villagers can teach you different reactions based on their personality. For example, a smug villager can teach you the dozing reaction, and a snooty villager can teach you the thought reaction. Big credit goes to UE Crossing and AC Garden Council, who are the people who made this. I'll also leave their friendship guide in the description if you're interested. To access the reactions, you need to press the ZR button. You can select the reaction you want with A, remove a reaction and register another in its spot with X, and show all the reactions with Y. When you select Y to show the reactions and then A, you can try them out. If there are villagers around you, they will react back to your reactions. But now that we have the ways of getting a villager and the benefits from that, let's talk about how to make a villager leave. When a thought bubble appears above their head, they'll usually think about moving out, especially if you haven't interacted with them in a while, but that's not always the case. A villager can have a thought bubble appear for several reasons, like asking for a favor, selling or buying things, inviting you to their house or asking to go to yours, asking you for a nickname, and a few other things like starting a treasure hunt, changing their catchphrase, gifting you something, or just having idle thoughts. To make a villager leave, hitting them with a net will unfortunately not work. It might be fun and it upsets them if done enough times, but that doesn't get them to move out. Complaining to Isabelle also doesn't do anything but to reset their clothing or catchphrase, as I explained in the Resident Services segment. So then, how do we do it? One way to definitely get a villager to move out is with another villager's amiibo. I already showed how to do that here. Another way of getting them to move out is to simply ignore them, which involves a lot of patience because villagers can move out at a random time, but a lot of people also use time travel in the game to do it. Some players will literally drag others to hell for time traveling in Animal Crossing, but honestly, who doesn't get a little impatient sometimes? I mean, I myself do it too. But anyways, how do we time travel then? To time travel in Animal Crossing New Horizons, you need to save and close your game, go to the settings and scroll all the way down to system. Then go to date and time, and from there you can change it to whenever you want. There's also a very useful guide on it by Para or Para, I'm sorry I don't know how to pronounce that, which you can see on screen right now. I'll also leave a link in the description where you can access it. Next, I'll talk about Dodo Airlines and then about Harv's Island. To travel with Dodo Airlines, you need to buy Nook Miles tickets at the Nook Stop in the Resident Services building, with one ticket costing 2k Nook Miles. When you're at the airport, you can also send a letter with a 200 bell fee. You can send one to a resident on your island, to your future self, or to one of your friends if you have the Nintendo Online membership. When you talk to Orville, you can choose to fly or say that you want visitors. When you pick the first option, you can visit someone else's island, use your Nook Miles ticket if you have any on you, or visit Harv's island. Visiting someone else's island will get Orville to ask you if you want to visit an island on local play or online play. You can also visit other players' islands via a dream address when you use a bed. I can't exactly explain visiting other players' islands or letting others visit you because I have never done that, so I'm not familiar with it, but what I can explain are the other things. Using your Nook Miles ticket will take you to a mystery island. Here you can get a random villager if your 10 slots aren't already filled, and you can also get your sister fruit, aka fruits that aren't native to your island. There are a lot of different mystery islands you can get, including a treasure island which has rocks in the middle of it, and when you hit the rocks you can get bells. But now, more about Harv's island. Harv or Harvey is a photographer, and on his island, called Photopia, you can take pictures and videos of yourself and your villagers. You unlock his island by having 3 villagers move in, after which you receive a letter from him. You can also raise bells to buy different characters with shops which cost 100k bells each once a day. There are 7 different characters shops you can build, which are Katrina, who will tell you your luck or friendship with one of the villagers on your island for the price of 1k bells, Sahara, who sells carpets, flooring, and wallpaper for different prices, Tortimer, who lets you put items in and out of your storage for free, mind you, he's literally so sweet. Reese and Cyrus, not Miley, where Cyrus can customize items for you. I'll talk a bit more about Reese and Cyrus later, but you can also shop from Leaf. You can buy different kinds of shrubs and flowers, sell your weeds, and if your island has grown too many weeds, you can use his weeding service. The last 2 you can buy is Red, who sells either real or fake art, you just have to look closely, but there will be a tip on that later. And last but not least, you can also buy Cakes, who sells different clothing items. On Harv's Island, you can also access more haircuts from Harriet, though you can only do this once a day, and there are 7 different haircuts you can get from her. The shops open at 5 AM and close at different times each, with Harriet closing at 10 PM, Tortimer and Leaf closing at 11 PM, Sahara, Cyrus and Reese and Kix closing at 12 AM, and Katrina and Red closing at 1 AM. Also, fun fact before I continue with Harv's photo studio, but during autumn/fall, Tortimer will wear something like an acorn mask and will be called Cornimer. Additionally, he will give you a random amount of acorns to craft seasonal items with when you come to him. And now, on to Harv's photo studio. Here you can access all the different furniture and things you've collected in game and set them however you like. You can also place an item down however many times you want, and you can even fill the room with it if you want. When you take a photo of a villager in Harv's photo studio, you can later buy their poster when you go Nook Shopping. Here you can also use amiibos to make a villager appear. Also, Harv's photo studio's layout is the same as a fully paid house, which means that there is one big main room, 3 other rooms, and then also a room upstairs and one downstairs. Now, I said I'll be talking a bit more about Reese and Cyrus as well. This is because in June, the game has a wedding season event where they'll ask you to decorate and take a picture for them in exchange of heart crystals. These hearts can be used to buy more wedding season items from them. The next few things I want to talk about are the shops and museum, starting with the museum. First things first, to get the museum you need to catch 5 creatures like fish, bugs, or sea creatures and donate them to Tom Nook. After that, Blathers will call him and say he wants to put his museum on your island. Then you get a tent to put up where Blathers' museum will be built. The location will be permanent, but you can change it when you've made progress later in the game in the Resident Services building. After a day, his tent will be built. When you talk to him, he'll say he dreams of a full museum and ask for more donations. He'll also give you the DIY recipes for a shovel and a vaulting pole. You need to donate 15 more things, again, bugs, fish, and creatures, or a mix of that, to proceed. And after you've donated those things, Blathers will announce that he has enough to start building a proper museum. The museum will be in building for another full day. To unlock the art wing, you need to have donated 60 creatures, then Blathers will mention that he wants to include art in his museum. The next day after Blathers mentions art, Isabelle will announce that there is a quote-unquote suspicious individual Isabelle will announce that there's a quote-unquote suspicious individual sailing around the nearby islands. That suspicious individual is Red, a fox who sells either real or fake art. He can be found near beaches, and if your island is like mine, you can find him at the back of your island. When you first buy art from him, the first art piece will always be real, but you need to look closely after the first time you buy from him in case the art is counterfeit. When you're done buying the art, he'll ship it out to you and the next day it's yours to donate. When you donate it to Blathers, you'll have to wait yet another day for the art wing to be built. Honestly, at this point I wouldn't blame you if you time traveled. So now that you finally donated your first piece of art, your museum is technically on its way to being complete, right? Well, not exactly, because there's one other small part that's important to a lot of players, and that's Brewster and the Roost. In the Roost, Brewster makes coffee for a fee of 200 bells. He can also offer you pigeon milk in your coffee if you want. But how do you access him? Well, first you need to get your island to 3 stars, which you can do by decorating it. You also need to have donated one of every type of item to the museum, so that's 1 piece of art, 1 fish, 1 bug, and 1 sea creature. When you go to Blathers, you'll be thinking about something, and no, not about moving out of your island. He's thinking about his old friend Brewster, and you're then given the task to find him on a mystery island using Captain's Store. Unfortunately, this will still cost you 1,000 Nook Miles. After you find him, go talk to him, then return to your island to alert Blathers that you found him. After another day of construction, oh my god, the Roost will be available and your museum will finally almost be completely finished. All you have to do now is donate everything in the Critterpedia and then you'll finish it completely. So good luck with that. Now let's talk about the Nook's Cranny shop. To get Nook's Cranny, first you have to pay off your 5k Nook Miles loan for your Deserted Island Getaway package. I've discussed Nook Miles and the ways of getting them here. After talking to Tom Nook about upgrading from a house to a tent, you have to head into the Resident Services tent and talk to Timmy and Tom Nook. When you talk to Timmy, he'll ask you to gather 30 wood, 30 softwood, 30 hardwood, and 30 iron nuggets. You can get the wood from chopping trees with your axe and the iron ingots from hitting rocks with either a shovel or an axe. When you're done, return to Timmy with the materials you gathered and he'll give you a Nook's Cranny construction kit. The placement of it is permanent, but the same thing applies to all the shops, which is that you can move them later on in the game when you go to the Resident Services building. After building Nook's Cranny, you can upgrade it like the museum but with certain requirements. To upgrade Nook's Cranny, at least 30 days need to have passed. You need to have bought and sold at least 200,000 bells worth of items at Nook's Cranny, and Mabel must have visited your island at least once. If you've got the requirements, Nook's Cranny will close for a day to renovate, and the next day you'll have the upgraded Nook's Cranny. That was it for this one, and now, last but not least, let's talk about the Able Sisters Tailor shop. To get the Able Sister shop, you need to first upgrade your tent to a house and also upgrade the Nook's Cranny shop and Resident Services building. When Nook's Cranny is open, there will be a cutscene where Mabel discusses selling her wares with Timmy and Tommy. After your first encounter with her, she will visit your island plaza on random days where she'll have her stand up, even on Saturdays and Sundays. To convince her to open the shop, you need to buy at least 5,000 bells worth of clothing from her, so make sure to buy something every time she visits just in case. When you've spent those bells, the next time Mabel visits your island, she will tell you that she would like to open a shop with her sister Sable. There's also a third sister, Isabelle, who has her own sort of designer brand in the game, and when she's on your island, she will prompt you to dress up for a certain look once you talk to her. If she likes your look, she will compliment it and give you a piece of her designer collection, as well as send you tickets for the Tailor shop so you can get a discount. But back to the Able Sisters shop, when you talk to Mabel, she will give you a building plot kit and you can place this anywhere on your island. The construction lasts a day like for the other buildings. That's all I'll be covering for the basics of the game. Now I'd like to share some tips and tricks. Going back to the Able Sisters shop, something you can do is talk to Sable for 11 days in a row to get special patterns. At first, she won't really be that talkative, but she'll open up eventually. This can be done with time travel if you're too lazy to wait, which I often do too. Something that can help you keep track of your island that I personally use and really recommend is the Animal Crossing New Horizons Planner app. Unfortunately not sponsored. The app has a ton of great features like seeing the difference between real and fake artworks that Red sells, keeping track of your KK songs, which, by the way, you can use to your advantage by looking for which song you don't have yet and getting it from KK, and a lot of other things like the flower guide, for example. This one is a bit more of a known one, but when you shake trees, make sure to have your net on you to avoid bee stings. Also, always keep medicine on you in case you do get stung or if one of your villagers is sick. On the topic of bugs, be aware that scorpions and tarantulas, are in the game and come out at night and are active from May to October. Something a lot of players do is run inside the museum or into buildings to avoid them. Same goes for the wasps. Something else you can do for scorpions and tarantulas is to dig holes just in case, and when it comes at you, run to the holes. Your villager will automatically jump over in the middle, and that's how you will be able to catch the bug. Something I personally do when it comes to fishing is to look away from my switch and just listen to the bloop sound instead of just watching, because that way there's a lesser chance that I accidentally click too soon and don't catch the fish. Another thing you can do is to place an invisible custom design near your flowers to stop them from growing where you don't want them to. A well-known trick is to double tap A while crafting. This speeds things up a bit. When going swimming, you can change by sprinting with B and then pressing A. Also, you can swim laps or swim faster by pressing A. If you want to collect tree branches, shaking one tree often gets you a few branches, so you don't have to go around shaking every tree. You could shake every tree multiple times though if you want, which will get you more branches. Sometimes villagers will low-key kind of intrude into your home to hang out, which is only fair because honestly that's what we players regularly do. But there's actually a way of making them leave other than waiting for them to leave on their own or getting out of your house, and that is with cockroaches. While the idea is kind of gross, that's exactly why it works, because villagers won't want to enter and will say that they'll just come by next time. Shout out to Snacksbracks for this one because I was absolutely crashing the out when trying to make a perfect snowboy for this video just to get the recipe to show you guys. But a guaranteed way to get a perfect snowboy is to get both snowballs to their maximum size, lay down a dirt path that's 10 tiles long, and then put both balls at either ends and roll one of the balls to the other. And so that concludes this video. I hope you enjoyed this guide. I tried my best to cover most things about the game, even though I didn't cover absolutely everything, like for example gardening, the other special characters like Wisp and Pascal, flower breathing, or resetting your island, because this video would probably be hours long if I were to cover absolutely everything. I added some links to other useful videos in the description, and if there's something else that I missed or didn't add that you think is important to mention, please comment down below. And if you enjoyed the video, why not like and subscribe? This was my take on an Animal Crossing guide. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!